Single-player games have always had something that multiplayer games can't replace. You don't need an internet connection, you don't need teammates, and you don't have to rely on anyone else. It's just you in a world that's ready to pull you in for hundreds of hours. While it's impossible to fit every great game into a single video, today we're counting down 25 single-player games that every gamer absolutely needs to experience. Let's get started.
Hiding your true self.
You become what you've always fought against.
Batman Arkham City. Nobody saw it coming. A Batman game that didn't just work, it redefined what a superhero game could be. Arkham City traps you inside a walled-off section of Gotham turned open-air prison, and from the moment you glide off your first rooftop, it clicks. The free-flow combat is hypnotic. You're chaining takedowns, countering mid-air, and dispatching entire rooms of armed criminals with the kind of fluidity that makes you feel genuinely dangerous. But the combat is just one layer. The detective work, the gadget puzzles, the Riddler trophy scattered across every rooftop and alley, the Riddler's taunts, the sheer density of things to discover. This game rewards curiosity constantly. And then there's the story. Joker, Hugo Strange, Ra's al Ghul, Two-Face, all of them orbiting a conspiracy that keeps escalating. The weight of it lands. Arkham City runs around 12-15 hours for the main story, but completionists will lose themselves for 30 plus. It set a standard that most superhero games still haven't matched. Red Dead Redemption 2. There is no game on Earth that makes you feel the passage of time quite like this one.
I know you are Bruce Wayne. You coming, buddy?
Red Dead Redemption 2 isn't just an open world, it's a living, breathing recreation of 1899 America, one where the rain actually changes the terrain, where NPCs remember what you did to them last week, where sitting by a campfire at night and watching the stars feels like the most natural thing in the world. You play as Arthur Morgan, an outlaw caught between loyalty and survival, and the further you go with him, the more you understand that this is genuinely one of the finest character studies in gaming history. The story alone is an 40-50 hour masterpiece. Add hunting, fishing, exploring, bounty hunting, robbing trains, and just riding across the plains with no destination, and you're looking at a game that could occupy months of your life. What separates RDR2 from everything else is that it never once lets you feel like you're wasting time. Every moment in that world means something.
We need to get those people warm and fed.
You were always one of us. From day one.
The Alters. What if you could meet every version of yourself you never became? The Alters is one of the most quietly daring games in recent memory. You play as Jan Dalsky, a lone astronaut stranded on an alien planet, forced to clone himself and alter the life decisions of each copy to create a crew with the skills he needs to survive. One version of Jan became a doctor, another a soldier, another, the one who made different choices at 17, turned out completely differently. The survival and base management loop is compelling on its own, but the game's real power is in the conversations between Jans, the arguments, the resentment, the comparison. Playing the Alters is like holding up a mirror to your own choices and wondering about the roads not taken. It's not a long game, clocking around 15 to 20 hours, but it lingers. People are still talking about its ending weeks after finishing.
Cause all I hear is I'm not ready enough.
I've never been this close. It's the outside.
So is that everything you hoped for?
The Last of Us Part I. 20 minutes in, this game will do something to you, and you won't recover from it until the credits roll. The Last of Us Part 1 is not a comfortable game. It's relentless, emotionally, in the way that the best films are relentless. Joel and Ellie's journey across a broken America, through abandoned city, quarantine zones, and worse, is one of the most carefully crafted narratives gaming has ever produced. The infected are terrifying, the human enemies are worse, and in between the violence, there are quiet moments that hit harder than any explosion. Naughty Dog rebuilt this from the ground up with improved combat systems, enhanced AI, and overhauled accessibility. The story runs 15-20 hours and doesn't waste a single one of them. If you've never played it, you're walking in blind to something that will stay with you.
I get into trouble down there.
Tell me, what do you do, James?
Lately, headhunting.
Forget every Bond game that came before this one. IO Interactive, the studio that spent years mastering the art of the perfect assassination, just handed the keys to James Bond. The origin story is entirely original, not lifted from any film, and that creative freedom shows. You're navigating a conspiracy across globe-trotting missions, from chess tournaments in Slovakia to galas in London, approaching objectives through stealth, social infiltration, gadgetry, and when things go wrong, precise and brutal hand-to-hand combat. The combat is built to feel like Bond, efficient, controlled, never wasteful. You can throw someone over a railing in one smooth motion, or disarm them mid-struggle. Lana Del Rey performs the title track, and IO's DNA from the Hitman series runs through every mission structure. This is the Bond game that should have always existed, and it finally does.
She's an asset.
With respect, Mom. To hell with that.
Resident Evil 2 Remake. The original Resident Evil 2 terrified a generation. The remake doesn't just honor that legacy, it makes the horror feel completely new. Raccoon City is your cave. The Raccoon Police Department, crumbling, dark, and labyrinthine, becomes one of gaming's most tightly designed environments. Leon and Claire's separate campaigns approach the same nightmare from different angles, and the tension never lets up. You're managing limited inventory, solving environmental puzzles, conserving ammunition, and trying desperately not to panic. Then there's Mr. X, an unkillable, relentless pursuer who stalks you through the building. You can hear his footsteps. You can't outrun him. You can't kill him. You can only delay him long enough to get what you came for. That pursuit mechanic redefines dread. Each campaign runs around 8 to 10 hours, and the game rewards replaying. Re 2 Remake is a masterclass in survival horror. Patient, intelligent, and brutal in exactly the right moments. Super Mario Odyssey. Some games remind you why you fell in love with gaming in the first place. Super Mario Odyssey is one of them. Nintendo gave Mario a hat with a soul, Cappy, and with that single edition, opened up a platformer that just keeps expanding. Every kingdom is a new toy box with its own visual language, its own secrets, its own reason to slow down and look at every corner. The possession mechanic, where Mario can throw Cappy at enemies and creatures to take control of them, creates moments of pure creative delight. Become a T-Rex, a tank, a Goomba, an electrical wire. There are over 800 power moons hidden across the game's worlds, and the joy of finding them never fades. It's joyful, inventive, and endlessly surprising, and the final stretch of the game pulls off something so unexpected that even veteran players stopped and laughed in disbelief. Odyssey is around 15-20 hours to finish and 50 plus to fully complete. It's perfect platform design, effortlessly perfect. Like a Dragon, Infinite Wealth, Hawaii, the sun is out, and Ichiban Kasuga is in the middle of the most emotionally rich JRPG of the last decade. Like a Dragon, Infinite Wealth takes the beloved turn-based RPG formula of its predecessor and doubles down on everything. Bigger world, deeper characters, more ridiculous side quests, and a story that earns every emotional moment it reaches for. Ichiban is searching for his mother, Kiryu, back as a major playable character, is facing his own mortality. The game handles both threads with remarkable sincerity, while also containing some of the most absurd, laugh-out-loud content in gaming. You can run a beach resort, go fishing, cosplay as different characters, play a Pokemon-style minigame, and spend hours in a gigantic JRPG within the JRPG. The main story runs 50+ hours, and the completion curve goes well beyond 100. Infinite Wealth is a game of extraordinary warmth. It believes in its characters completely, and by the end of it, so will you.
Featuring extreme
Empires hunting Jedi survivors. Now, they know who you are.
Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. What would it feel like to be one of the last Jedi in a galaxy that's actively hunting them? Jedi Fallen Order answers that question with a grounded, intimate Star Wars story that takes the franchise seriously. Cal Kestis, a Padawan who survived Order 66 by hiding in plain sight, is forced out of hiding and sent on a mission that requires him to reconnect with a force he deliberately buried. The story is one of the better Star Wars narratives in any medium. Personal, stakes-driven, and surprisingly emotional. Combat takes the Souls-like approach of deliberate, punishing, deeply rewarding confrontations, parrying blaster bolts mid-fight, using force slow to freeze enemies in place while you cut through them, finding the rhythm of each enemy type. It clicks in a way that makes every combat encounter feel like a performance. The interconnected levels reward exploration and backtracking as you gain new force ability. Around 15-20 hours, with a sequel that goes even further.
I can't change the past.
You trespass, Jedi.
There you are. All better.
6 years of waiting, and when Capcom finally opened the doors, it was worth it. Set on the moon in the near future. Hugh Williams, a spacesuit-clad operative, is separated from his crew after a lunar quake, and left navigating the desolate corridors of a research station that has been overtaken by a hostile AI. With him is Diana, a young android girl, and the two form a partnership that is the emotional heart of the game. Diana's hacking ability, where players guide a cursor through panels to modify the effect of her breaches on enemy systems, adds a genuinely strategic dimension to combat. The visual design of the lunar environment is striking, cold, vast, and quietly beautiful in a way that makes exploration feel meaningful. Capcom released this as a new IP after years of delays, and the result is a tightly crafted action-adventure with a story that rewards patience, around 12 to 15 hours, and every one of them is purposeful.
Get behind me!
Metal Gear Solid Delta Snake Eater, one of the greatest games ever made, rebuilt and given to a generation that missed it the first time. Metal Gear Solid 3 was the prequel that didn't just tell you about Big Boss, it made you understand him. Naked Snake, dropped into the Soviet jungle in 1964, is on a mission to eliminate his own mentor. What follows is Hideo Kojima at his most emotionally ambitious, a love story, a Cold War thriller, a philosophical inquiry into loyalty and identity, all wrapped in one of gaming's most inventive survival systems. You're managing Snake's health, his stamina, treating wounds mid-mission, camouflaging into your environment, hunting food to survive. The jungle becomes a world you inhabit rather than a backdrop you pass through. And the boss fights, each one a character study, are among the best ever designed. Delta rebuilds this with modern visuals and overhauled controls while preserving everything that made the original untouchable. For veterans, it's a reunion. For newcomers, it's a revelation.
Prove your loyalty.
You bring the police to my door, to my rig.
The oil rig has no exit, the storm has cut off communication, and something is in the water. Still wakes the deep is the Chinese Room, doing what they do better than almost anyone, building atmospheric horror through environment and character rather than jump scares and monsters. You play as Kaz, a Scottish electrician on a North Sea oil rig in 1975, and within the first hour the game establishes exactly who he is and who he loves, before tearing his world apart. What follows is a slow, sustained nightmare of flooded corridors, impossible transformations, and the desperate search for other survivors. The voice acting is exceptional. The Scottish accents and working-class camaraderie between the crew feel completely authentic. The horror is patient, and the sense of claustrophobia is suffocating in the best way. It runs around 5 to 6 hours, short enough for a single long session, and uses every minute. Some games are meant to be experienced in one sitting. This is one of them.
Don't you answer me back!
Easy, easy. It's okay.
Horizon Forbidden West. The West is vast, and it is beautiful, and it wants you dead. Aloy's second journey takes everything that worked in Zero Dawn and scales it in every direction. The Forbidden West, a ruined California coastline, submerged cities, tropical forests, towering mountain ranges, is one of the most varied open worlds ever built. You can glide, swim deep underwater, climb, and navigate this world with a freedom that makes discovery feel constant. The machine combat is the series' crown jewel. Every machine is a puzzle with moving parts. Tear off a component, redirect its weapons against it, freeze it and shatter it, or ride it once it's been broken down. No two encounters feel the same, because no two machines behave the same. The main story runs 25 to 30 hours, with well over 60 hours if you explore fully. Forbidden West is grand in scale and intimate in its character work, and by the end of it, you'll understand exactly why Aloy matters.
Yeah. And it's almost here.
Titanfall 2, the greatest single-player FPS campaign ever made. That's not hyperbole, that's just what happened. Titanfall 2 launched in 2016, wedged between two massive releases, got buried, and has spent the years since being quietly championed by everyone who actually played it. The campaign is only 6-7 hours, but those hours contain more invention than most games manage in 30. Wall running at speed through crumbling environment, leaping into your Titan mid-flight, the relationship between pilot and mech that builds organically through every mission. And then there's that one level, the one that stops you cold, the one that uses the game's mechanics to do something that shouldn't work on paper, and somehow works completely. You'll know it when you get there. It's referenced constantly by designers as a masterclass in level design. Titanfall 2 never lets you adjust to what it's doing before it does something else entirely. It's a masterpiece of momentum, and it's waiting for you right now.
But when that day comes, I hope I can live up to the honor.
Darwin's Paradox. Not every game on this list tries to be an epic. Sometimes the most charming experiences come in the smallest packages. Darwin's Paradox is a puzzle platformer published by Konami in 2026. The story of Darwin, a blue octopus abducted from his ocean home and dropped into a massive industrial complex run by the sinister UFO DINC. Getting back to the sea means using everything an octopus has: swimming, camouflage, intelligence, and the natural curiosity of a creature that was never meant to be on land. The game balances platforming sequences with environmental puzzles in a way that keeps each new area feeling fresh. Visually, it has the warmth and craft of a high-quality animated film. Every level is distinct and alive. Around 8 to 10 hours long, Darwin's Paradox doesn't outstay its welcome. It's charming, inventive, and a reminder that you don't need 100 hours and a massive budget to leave an impression.
This is my power. My responsibility.
Marvel's Spider-Man 2. 2 Spider-Men, 1 city, and a threat that neither of them is ready for. Insomniac's second chapter doubles the scope and raises the emotional stakes. Peter and Miles operate across an expanded New York, each with their own upgrade, their own story threads, and their own relationships under pressure. The web swinging has been elevated with the addition of Webwing. Deploying them mid-swing to catch thermals and soar across the city creates a feeling of freedom that the first game couldn't quite reach. The new symbiote abilities give Peter a combat edge that transforms encounters, but the game is smart enough to make the cost of that power central to the story. Villain design is exceptional. Every major encounter is distinct and memorable. The story runs around 15-20 hours and manages to service both protagonists without either feeling shortchanged. Spider-Man 2 is proof that superhero gaming, when handled by the right team, can stand alongside the best the genre has to offer. Bioshock Infinite. You wake up on a boat, there's a lighthouse. You know what this means if you've played Bioshock. And then the game subverts everything you think you know. Bioshock Infinite sends you to Columbia, a city in the sky, sun-drenched and superficially utopian, rotting from within. Booker DeWitt is sent to retrieve a girl named Elizabeth, imprisoned in a tower, and what starts as an extraction mission becomes something far more ambitious. Elizabeth herself is one of gaming's finest companions. She actively helps in combat, tears holes between realities to bring through weapons and cover, and carries emotional weight that the narrative earns across its runtime. The story goes places that most games don't have the nerve to attempt, building toward a finale that recontextualizes everything you've experienced. The vigors, the skyline combat, the propulsive pace of the campaign, it all serves a game that wants to leave a mark. Bioshock Infinite runs around 12-15 hours and stays with you for much longer.
Danger. A mortal one. A power that can destroy the world.
You must find her, Geralt.
The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt. What do you say about The Witcher 3 that hasn't already been said? Maybe just this: there is still no open-world RPG that has matched what CD Projekt Red achieved here. Not in scope, not in writing quality, not in the sheer density of things worth doing. Geralt's world is massive and alive. Every village has a story, every contract has nuance, every NPC has a reason to exist. The side quests aren't fetch tasks padded for runtime. They're short stories, complete with moral complexity and consequences. The combat evolved across patches and expansions into something fluid and satisfying. The 2 DLCs, Hearts of Stone and Blood and Wine, are each expansions that rival the main game in quality. You're looking at a 50+ hour main story and 200+ hours if you go deep. The Witcher 3 represents what games can be when every single department is performing at its absolute peak. Open worlds have given us a lot of power fantasy. Crimson Desert is something different, a mercenary story told with weight and consequence. Pearl Abyss's action RPG puts you in the boots of Cliff, leader of the scattered Greymanes, rebuilding his company across the fractured continent of Pywell. Combat is the headline, a flowing system of combos, environmental attacks, parries, and massive boss encounters that demand adaptation. Every major fight is choreographed like a duel. Each enemy's patterns are learnable, and the satisfaction of reading and responding to them correctly is enormous. The world itself shifts from frozen tundra to tropical coastline, from underwater ruins to cities built on flying rock formations. Each region feels like a different game in the best possible way. The story uses this variety to reveal different layers of who Cliff is and what drives him. Crimson Desert was one of 2026's most pleasant surprises, and if it stayed on your radar through the years of delays, the wait was justified. Rise of the Tomb Raider. The second chapter of Lara Croft's reinvention asks a harder question than the first. What do you do when you've proven yourself to everyone except yourself? Lara is hunting the secret of immortality, not for power, but to finish what her father started. Siberia swallows her. The Remnants, a hidden group of people living in the mountains, pull her into a conflict she didn't come for. And Trinity, the organization hunting the same secret, will not stop. The game's environmental design is exceptional. Ice cave, Soviet military installations, ancient tombs buried under centuries of snow. Each area is a layered puzzle of platforming, stealth, and combat that rewards experimentation. The tombs are actual challenges, not just rooms with one obvious solution. Character progression feels meaningful, and Lara's arc across this game is earned, not assumed. Around 15 to 20 hours, with a lot more if you dig into every hidden corner. A confident, handsome action adventure that holds up completely. Atomic Heart. What if the Soviet Union won the space race, invented robot workers, built a utopia, and then everything went catastrophically wrong? Atomic Heart puts you inside Facility 3826, a showcase of Soviet technological achievement that is currently in the process of tearing itself apart. Major P3, Comrade Major, is sent to investigate, and what starts as a standard security operation spirals into something vast, strange, and deeply unsettling. The retro-futurist aesthetic is unlike anything else in gaming. Gleaming white hallways, propaganda posters, robot dancers performing in blood-soaked rooms. Combat is the game's beating heart. Right hand for weapons, left hand for the polymer glove that delivers electric shocks, telekinesis, and ice, often simultaneously. The open-world segments between facilities are dense with secrets, and Atomic Heart commits to its absurdist tone completely, never winking at the audience. The result is one of the more distinctive shooters of recent years, confident in its weirdness, relentless in its design. Cyberpunk 2077. The launch is history. What Cyberpunk 2077 became after that is the story worth telling. Night City is one of the greatest open worlds ever constructed, a vertical, neon-drenched, deeply cynical metropolis where every alley, every rooftop, every corporate tower tells you exactly what kind of world this is. V's story, a mercenary dying by inches while a ghost lives in their head, is driven by performances and writing that surpass almost anything in the genre. Keanu Reeves as Johnny Silverhand is one of gaming's great character turns. With Phantom Liberty added, the narrative goes further, delivering consequences that reshape V's entire arc. The build variety is extraordinary. Cyber-enhanced street samurai, netrunner who hacks from the shadows, pure gunslinger. Each approach changes how the world responds to you. 40-50 hours for the main story and DLC, much more for the streets. Night City takes, Night City gives, and it will not let you go easily.
This is Morgan.
This game was overlooked when it launched. It should not have been. Arkane's Prey takes the immersive sim to a space station, and the result is one of the most intelligent first-person experiences of the last decade. You wake up as Morgan Yu on Talos the Worst, a research station orbiting the moon. The Typhon alien entities that have escaped containment have killed almost everyone. What follows is a game that gives you total freedom in how to approach every obstacle. Find a key, hack a terminal, stack boxes and jump over a wall, shift into the shape of a coffee mug to roll through a gap, or fight your way through. The powers you choose, human or Typhon, fundamentally change how the station reads. Every room is a design puzzle. Every log and audio log adds to a mystery that unfolds with precision. Around 25 to 30 hours if you're thorough, and worth every one. Prey rewards curiosity more generously than almost any game ever made.
Wouldn't pay so nice if it weren't.
Black Flag Resynced. Edward Kenway was always the best protagonist in the Assassin's Creed series. Now a new generation gets to find out why. Black Flag Resynced takes the beloved pirate adventure and rebuilds it with a new combat system, updated stealth mechanics, and additional story content, while keeping the Caribbean, the sea battles, the jackdaw, and the things that made the original worth playing in the first place. Edward isn't a true believer. He's a pirate who stumbles into a centuries-old war between assassins and Templars, and his cynicism gives the game an edge that the more earnest entries lacked. Naval combat remains one of gaming's great pleasures, adjusting sails to catch the wind, weathering storms, swinging between ships mid-battle. The open world of the Caribbean, tropical islands, hidden coves, sunken ships full of loot is as easy to lose yourself in now as it was when the original launched. If you played it before, Resynced gives you a reason to return. If you didn't, this is the version to play.
So I'll put it to the vote.
Can be dwarfed by the vastness of space itself.
Starfield. The galaxy is enormous, and you are small, and somehow, that's exactly the point. Starfield is a game about exploration at a fundamental level. Bethesda built over 1,000 planets, and the act of landing on one, scanning its flora, finding a crashed ship in a crater, and slowly piecing together who put it there and why. That loop has a quiet power that grows on you. The character build system is deep. Combat, stealth, piloting, persuasion, research. You shape your Constellation operative into the spacefarer you want to be. The main story runs 30 to 40 hours and touches on ideas that bigger, louder games don't bother with.